This is What a Week.
What a Week. PoliTricks.
Can you go again?
Eta, Tumelang, welcome to another edition of Wow, What a Week, hashtag PoliTricks. Our guest today is a man who decided that because I've proven that I can fix your hair, maybe I can help fix your city. Because we don't walk around with greasy, oily hair like we did in the 80s, maybe he can use that grease and oil to oil the wheels of service delivery. And he decided, in fact, let me start a political party because please make some noise for Ntate HERMAN MASHABA of Action SA. HERMAN, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me to talk to you guys. Always a pleasure. It's not, I don't take this kind of engagement lightly. I take them seriously because obviously we watch you guys from outside doing some fantastic work. And when we are given rare opportunities like this, we'd like to obviously thank you for the opportunity.
Do you watch the show? Have you seen the show? Have you been sent clips? Is there anything?
But tell me, who has not really followed you? I can't say I'm an intimate follower, but tell me who doesn't really to follow you from time to time.
No, the reason I'm asking, I don't like elephants in the room. Is there anything we've said on our show that may be upset to you, so we deal with it now?
Well, let me tell you something, DJ Fresh. For me, I've always said to journalists in this country or anywhere in the world, I always, in fact, advise them not to send me questions in advance because, as far as I'm concerned, I don't really have anything that worries me. I have a thick skin and I can take punches. It's my life. That's how I was born and brought up. I don't have any to wait. I'm the kind of person that definitely no one can ever attack me unfairly and not be able to defend myself. So no one can ever have a gun at my head one day to say, hey, Herman, because of whatever, put a gun at my head. It'll never. And also at the same time, I've been brought up also not to abuse my power. So I'll never take advantage of a weak person. And from time to time, when you do deals, from my days in business, from my days when I was a gambler, when I was at school, I never take advantage of weak people.
Anyway, thanks, Herman, and thanks for having us. And we also run the show in a manner that we don't prepare questions. We hardly have guests. we focus on analyzing geopolitics, and we hardly have guests. We have had few guests, and a political leader we have had, actually, the very first one was when Colin Makubela was still in that coalition before the elections last year. It was the very first guest we had, but we really appreciate. And actually, I have to say to Fresh, before we go far, when we finish this interview, I want my money back from you for all my years of styling gel and spray and daisy.
No, your money is now going into allowing me to be in the political space without asking the party to pay me. So thank you very much for the opportunity you gave me, but you paying your hair in the 80s, even now. I mean, my business is now for over 40 years.
Yes, sir.
And my wife and my daughter are the one with my partners taking care of it. So perhaps you might find some of my products in your home in one way or another, because I've actually come across, go to someone's bathroom and see one of my products, and I'll never tell them this belongs to me.
Yes. Oh. Also, there's other stuff that you are busy with that we might never know.
No.
Now, before we get into all things politics, we want to start with a icebreaker. It's 10 questions. Don't overthink the answers.
Okay.
ANC or DA, who broke your heart more?
I think both of them.
You? Yeah.
Both of them, because I think ANC, I grew up really believing in them. And when I got into business, as you are aware, people used to be arrested and so forth. And the Mandela, looking up to them as leadership.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, when the ANC disappointed us, when the ANC, then the DA approached me, accepted. At the time I saw the Musis of this world, I thought perhaps this is an alternative.
Yes.
I get in there literally first day, really, literally first day discovered, no man, this party is not what I thought it was. It was about the protection of old privileges than actually being involved in addressing the inequality and injustice in our country.
Yes.
And that created conflict with them literally from day one, because they did not understand me. Because that's why, I'm sure you've seen in the media, a lot of DA people say, HERMAN MASHABA has changed. In fact, I'm saying, no, you didn't know me.
Exactly.
I'll be,
9 more questions. I'll be very quick. One law you'd scrap immediately.
What? Huh?
One law you would scrap immediately.
I think we need a revision on our Bill of Rights,
Yes.
giving rights to illegal foreigners in our country.
We've often actually had that discussion. Biggest political red flag in a coalition partner?
Well, when the people are in politics for wrong reasons, because coalition requires that you have a solid coalition agreement where you commit on fighting certain things, things that are not negotiable,
Sure.
like accepting corruption, cadre deployment, and
Yeah.
so forth. And these are things that, as a country, unfortunately, we're still battling with all the parties I've worked with.
What's more stressful, running a business, a city, or a marriage?
Okay, I think running politics is the most difficult. Marriage, for me, honestly, has been great. I've really been fortunate. Married now just over 43 years. In a few months' time, I'll be married for 44 years.
Congratulations.
And my wife and I, we met while I was at varsity. She was in high school, and after my university studies were interrupted, decided I must go into business, but I felt the need. I had the wisdom to stabilize my life. And yes, my wife and I, are we perfect? Look, I mean, there's no one we would perfect human being.
What about marriage prepares you for coalition governing?
What? I think they're unrelated. You deal with totally different issues.
But it's the same. We're in bed together.
Yes, but I think my own personal experience, I think, with my wife, because we met at a very young age. I was 20, when I met her, I was 18 at university, and we got married at 22. So we grew up together. We started Black Like Me together.
Yeah.
She's now the one running our business empire, and has given me the space to serve society, because this job that I'm doing, and I take it that I'm serving society.
2 more questions. One word you hope people use to describe you in 20 years.
Someone who was prepared to die for his country.
Yes, sir. And finally, are you going to be president one day?
I don't think so. Why? I think I look at my life, and in 30 days' time or so, I'll be turning 66. So I think for me, I've identified an opportunity to groom the talent, particularly of our black people.
Yes, sir.
Because I like to really be surrounded by strong, ethical people. I don't think 2029 I'll be almost reaching 70. I don't think, looking at the talent within our own party, I would really like to play that role of actually developing the others. The only thing that I think the challenge one is facing is to really make a decision on the city of Johannesburg that is busy collapsing. Perhaps I might really give it my last shot in the event I don't find someone strong that I trust, like how Dr. Nasipi Moyo. So I need another Nasipi Moyo in Johannesburg and Ikuruleni. It is for that reason when DA was refusing to provide the services to black townships, I had to take a tough decision to remove Celia Brink and take a chance to work with the ANC. But obviously, I had a very strong candidate. And I said to them, give me someone better than this. And what she's doing makes me so proud. You know, every night when people insult me and whatever, and I look at what this great black woman is doing, it gives me such, you don't imagine the kind of joy. I cry inside, because only time Herman MASHABA cries is when I'm happy.
Yes.
Well, talking of that, as I've said earlier on to you, of this the record, as a resident of Tshwane, I can attest to the great work that Dr. Nasip is doing. I've tasted it myself, I've seen it with my own eyes, and I've heard many residents of Tshwane, and I think that's where the coalition is working. And you know, talking of it, and Dr. MASHABA, and if we get into the politics of the day, let me actually start with the elephant in the room. There's talks of the coalition being threatened in the city of Tshwane because of the EFF, mainly then the ANC, wanting to remove the current sitting
city manager.
Yes, the municipal manager. What is the issue there, and why is it being blamed on Action SA?
Well, I think, you know, people must understand as Action SA, we believe in the rule of law. We believe in fighting corruption. We believe in doing the right thing. So I think this matter came as a complete surprise to us. And we look at why all of a sudden being intensified. It's something that doesn't make sense to us. And I think we are not pushovers, as I've indicated, because we have not, no one has ever presented compelling reasons for the removal of the city manager. And we are not going to do it unless someone can really present credible reasons for wanting the.
But what is it they are putting on it? What is it? What is the reason? I've read in the media, some print media, that they are saying when the municipal manager was selected, there was supposed to be one councillor according to policy that was supposed to be sitting in the selection team or the panel, and therefore it was two who were there. My question becomes, besides that, and I don't think it was during the coalition when it happened, is there any other thing that you think could be committed? What is the policy? Is it wrong to can have more than one councillor?
That is what really is surprising us. In fact, the more the merrier, so that I think you can interrogate. And if you look at the city manager, it's not someone that I personally know. I've met him 2 or 3 times when I visit the mayor, and we just really agreed. I've never really had one-on-one discussion with the man, so I don't know him. But if I look at his support for this coalition arrangement, I find it difficult for the ANC and EFF to want this removal. I mean, it is beyond imagination. There must be other agendas, and I think let ANC and EFF really then take us into confidence as to other reasons. But the men's competency, the selection process, honestly, they cannot expect us as Section SA to take such irresponsible decisions. So people of Tshwane deserve better.
Okay, and moving on, fresh through you. Now, the biggest challenge that I personally think Action SA has ever faced, the bill that you have introduced. We have done the unthinkable as a political party. We have done what the Democratic Alliance itself, the EFF itself, Umkhonto Party recently, and many other political parties have talked about, how the cabinet is bloated for many years. And if I look at our history, this is for the first time since the DA in, I think, 3 or 4 years back, introduced a bill to want to change the constitution that died naturally. But it was not what you have, it's not in this magnificent manner. Regarding the bill that you are introducing, are you trying to go to Parliament and ask the techies to vote for Christmas? That's how I interpret it.
But I think if you look at this bill that we are proposing, honestly, I cannot really see how any political party is going to be against this, because this country, as you are aware, our debt levels are really close to 80%. We are now here on the eve of losing our biggest trading partner, United States of America, where we were making a fortune out of United States. We've got a GNU, the biggest cabinet on earth.
Yes.
With a country with a growth of what, 0.5%. But we've got the biggest cabinet. It's been running for a full year. Show me any single progressive economic policy that they've introduced that can actually steer this ship to move. But one thing I can tell you, they spent over 30 million rands on international travel, and they cannot account to where they've been, what are the benefits for South Africa. We see deputy ministers where, look at currently what the General Muanazi has raised, and here's the president comes out, instead of getting the deputy minister to act. Now, this country must now pay for 2 minister of police. I mean, in a country where, are you aware, as I'm talking to you, over 50% of South Africans don't know where the next meal is going to come from.
Yeah.
So it is for that reason for us as Action SA, we're saying that actually demonstrate this latest development by the president to look for someone outside, not to get one of the 2 deputy ministers in the police to play that role and not add additional cost to our country. That's why we feel let the political parties actually show for themselves to the people of South Africa whether they are there for them or not.
Before we continue with that, just for the benefit of our viewers, what we are talking about, Fresh and Tate MASHABA, it's the bill that Action SA has introduced in Parliament to amend the Constitution.
Sure.
And in order to, one, remove the deputy ministers. We have covered that in this platform several times to say, deputy ministers are not members of the cabinet. They don't have cabinet powers and ministerial powers, and therefore we will save as a nation approximately 1.5 billion per annum if we don't have deputy ministers. And Action SA is proposing that. The second part is to review the packs of the current ministers.
Yeah, because often they hide behind ministerial handbook as if it dictates and it lives there alone. It can't be amended.
Yes, that's what we are talking about. I just wanted to clear that for the sake of the viewers and the followers.
In fact, Herman, I mean, you make mention of what you feel President Ramaphosa ought to be doing. And, there's almost the sense that he's under siege from everywhere because a lot of people saw him as the new great hope. And many are saying he's dropping the ball, he's indecisive, he overconsults. Some have even called him a lame duck president. If President Ramaphosa gave you a call and said, Brahemen, what would you do with everything that I'm dealing with? What would Brahemen do?
Let me just really give you a sense of my view of President Cyril Ramaphosa.
Yes, sir.
Before he was elected as the president of the country, I was the mayor of the city of Johannesburg at the time. DA had a press conference at the Constitutional Hill, and they invited me to be part of that press conference. It was probably about a month or so to elections. And during my remarks, I want South Africans to say, look, we're going to really be facing a catastrophe. I said, South Africans, I warn you, if you vote this man into power to be the president of the country, I'm telling you, 18 to 24 months, you're going to be asking for Jacob Zuma to come back. And you remember it was breaking news. I mean,
Yes.
it disrupted that entire press conference,
conference, yes.
because the media wanted to know. My goodness, at the time, majority of the people were misled by Cyril Ramaphosa's charm. But fortunate enough for some of us, obviously know him from a distance, he's not the kind of person that can take tough, necessary decisions for the country, and he's demonstrated this on so many occasions. Look at this, how he handled this Muanazi matter. Look at how he handled our...
How would you have handled the Muanazi matter?
Immediately fired the Minister of Police.
But there's zero evidence of wrongdoing.
No, I don't know what evidence do we need. I mean, we're getting this from a committed public servant. You fire him because the appointment of the minister is not subject to normal labor law. So we must not really be confused as a country. So appointment of the minister is at the behest of the
at his pleasure.
At his pleasure, so he can remove, and investigate this matter afterwards. But you cannot afford to have such a person in your cabinet, and not just him. Just imagine how many of the ministers are in his cabinet right now, and look at how he handled this whole situation, our trade relationships with the United States. I mean, that issue with the United States in the Oval Office was the most embarrassing moment.
Before you move to that one, still on the Muanazi saga and all that, your view or actually is a position on the issue of the commission vis-a-vis the ad hoc committee that several political parties have come and talk about the ad hoc committee in Parliament. What's your view on that?
Well, that's what I'm saying is if I was in President Cyril Ramaphosa's, I would have fired the minister from Brazil, because he was in Brazil at the time. I would have obviously given him a call to say, please leave the office. I will investigate this matter. If you are cleared, I might bring you back. But I cannot really I don't suspend you, because obviously suspension means you adding cost to the South African fiscus, where 50% of our people they don't know where the next meal is going to come from. And yes, then you can start a parliamentary investigation. I don't really believe that with all the commissions that Cyril is known for having applied throughout. We can't run the country on the basis of commissions, man. This country really requires bold, ethical leadership, people who are decisive. And unfortunately, Cyril Ramaphosa is not that person. And I think he made it clear when he took over. He's on record to say he does not want to really be seen to be the man who destroyed the ANC. So we'd rather call him a weak president than destroy the ANC. But on the other hand, honestly, sometimes you can believe Jacob Zuma that Cyril Ramaphosa was planted in the ANC to destroy it, because he's actually destroying it at a rate that is like a tsunami.
Just as a comment from my side, I'm one of the people who have been very vocal about that. Actually, I don't know how does people value the ANC or evaluate the performance of their president. But in my books, I think what the ANC is doing at the moment, they are finishing themselves.
Yes, there's no doubt about that.
Because trying to protect corruption, maladministration, and incompetency, for me, it's not building the organization. It's actually destroying the organization. But that was just a comment in edit to what.
Yeah, well, I mean, as you guys are aware, I grew up with the ANC. I mean, you'll read in this book and others. I mean, I'm 66 in a month time. So I saw freedom for the first time when I was 34. By that time, I was one of the big industrialists. Are you guys aware that when I turned 30, I had a factory in Mabopane.
Yes.
The one
Over
that
6,000.
the one that burnt down.
On the 7th, yeah,
Yes.
some criminals burned it down on the 17th of November 1993. But when de Klerk actually announced in 1990, announced the unbanning of political parties, the release of political prisoners, by then, I was probably or perhaps one of the big industrialists in South Africa.
Already.
I had when I turned 30, I had a business in Mabopane.
Yes.
My own factory. I did not owe anyone a cent. And you know who built that factory? My own construction company. People didn't know that by then that with the money I was making from Black Like Me, I started other businesses, including, of course, my factory was built by my own construction company, but it market related, because obviously I wasn't a sole shareholder, but obviously I got the black guy who was a civil engineer to say, Prabi, let's start a construction company. There's huge opportunities in the sector. I will fund. And I funded this. And one of the projects I gave him was to build my factory. And he built my house in Soshanguve. I had a house at the DD's when I attended, a double-storied house with a tennis court, swimming pool, built by my own business, by my own construction company. These are some things that South Africans are not aware of.
Incidentally, when you were turning 30, you said 1990.
Yes.
Yeah, I was in boarding school. I was doing Form 5 or grade 12. Ka eskel. Yeah, black like I swear to God.
I had just shaved my wave because I had just returned from military training. So I had to, because I was in Tanzania with Apla forces, and then I had just came back after military training. So when I went out, because I couldn't afford to keep my wave, I had to shave my wave that I kept for almost 7 years.
It's interesting you come from Apla, because I think, for me, growing up during our time, we did not only know ANC, we knew different political parties. 2 weeks ago, I attended a public meeting in Soweto, in one of the parks in Orlando East. And while I got there half an hour before the meeting, so one of our activists says, "Hey, there's a funeral in this house. Let's go and pay homage because you are in the area." It hit me when I got in there and I was told about this gentleman who passed away. Was one of the Apla guys. He literally died a pauper. I looked at his son, his own son destroyed by drugs. This is someone who spent over 8 years in prison, and upon his release, that's when he left the country. Okay. And obviously, after the unbanning of political parties, people coming back. And I'm saying these are people that ANC has failed, and these are things that makes me even more determined every day to do this political work, because for ANC, honestly, billionaires today, the people who've never sold even a tomato in their lives are billionaires today. And not to care about the plight of such people. And it's actually quite sad. It's not only APLA, other movements.
It's across the board.
Even some of the ANC people. I know some of the guys I was at university with who left to go into military training. Some of us, we were lucky or unlucky that we didn't get reliable contacts to get us out of the country. That's how we ended up in the country. But when they returned, we met up with them. And because of the level of corruption that ANC immediately embarked upon, so some of these guys were sidelined, and they are battling even today. It really hurts me. But ANC is prepared to look after the South African Defence Force,
retired generals,
and so forth. And I'm saying, but something is not right here. I mean, what deal who negotiated this deal with the ANC? Because it looks like they actually sold on it. And I think we remember after the adoption of the constitution, how excited we were as a country. But honestly, you look at the deal we negotiated. Honestly, this deal wasn't really good for Black South Africa.
In fact, because had Mandy Wiener from Talk Radio 702 on my show on Wednesday, talking about whistleblowers, and she's talking about her new book, which is coming out, I think, in a month or two. And it also addresses the very deals you're talking about.
In fact,
that were happening.
In fact, I'm having an interview. She's coming to interview. She called me that she's writing a book. She's coming to interview me next week in this office.
Yes, sir.
That's good to hear.
What rumors do you hear about these deals? Or what concrete information do you have about some of these deals?
Well, look, I had the privilege and honor to be the executive mayor of the city of Johannesburg. I don't know if you guys are aware. In the 3 years I was a mayor,
Yes.
discovered 35 billion rands of fraud and corruption. And some of the cases were as clear as daylight. Unfortunately, our law enforcement agencies, particularly the NPA, even up to today, they're refusing to prosecute those cases. So for me, I'm not talking rumor. I'm talking real stuff with unquestionable evidence of serious corruption. Just the city of Johannesburg, in the 3 years, 35 billion rands. If I'd stayed and completed my term, probably would have been higher.
But MASHABA, just not to interrupt you, that part, that critical part that the nation will want to know about, what is it that is holding these prosecutions? Because you are a multi-party in a city or even in provincial government, it's a multi-party system. If the NPA is not acting as required, wouldn't all other political parties that are anti-corruption or claiming to be anti-corruption to push and question the NPA in parliamentary committees? Why are you not prosecuting these people or the Hawks investigator? What is holding back? What is blocking opposition parties like the Action SA, which is not in the GNU, to be doing to be fighting what is happening?
Or even to have private prosecutions, if that's what needs to happen.
Well, guys, I'm sure you are aware, even when I was the mayor, asking Advocate Batoyi to give us as a city of Johannesburg, not to me in my personal capacity, because I was representing the 6 million people of the city of Johannesburg, says, if you don't want to prosecute those cases, then give us the knowledge certificate so that we can have private prosecution. They are refusing even up to today. Elevated to
parliamentary committees.
Oh my goodness! So if you look at how many cases? I mean, the Palapala, the Nkandla scandal. Unfortunately, if you don't have the numbers in Parliament, so that is why I'm in politics, trying to doing my best and not trying. I'm not the person who tries. I do it, and I only accept failure after having tried to get the black youth to come out in their numbers and vote, because. Unfortunately, politics in a democratic dispensation, it's about numbers. So you can bring an issue like this bill of cutting off the deputy ministers. Is it going to pass? Is it going to get the support of all the political parties? I don't know. You can imagine, here's the DA. A week after getting involved in Palapala, Helen Zille made it clear that Palapala will be protected.
But in your view, do you think other political parties will support it, particularly the DA, the ANC, Umkhonto and the EFF? And the Umkhonto and the EFF, they don't have members of the executive. But the DA and the ANC particularly, who are having the majority of members, do you think they will support?
Well, one thing I find it really very strange to start off with, why DA accepted to really be part of this bloated government. I mean, you ask yourself, they are the very same party when they were out in the opposition complaining about the size of the cabinet then.
And about the blue lights.
About the blue lights, about international travel. So, so for me, when I was the mayor of the city of Johannesburg pursuing these cases of corruption, Helen Ziller, knowing obviously my pursuing these cases, approached the ANC to say, guys, please come out with a motion of no confidence against this man. He's pursuing cases of corruption against you. For us, he's refusing to cut grass in Sandton. And I wasn't refusing to cut grass. He's focused on Alexander, Soweto, and the poor communities, and decided to call me an EFF mayor that I was focusing on poor communities. They knew about these cases of corruption. Did you ever hear DA raising issues about the level of corruption, which I used to report on a monthly basis? Did they ever provide support to me? And some of the cases were as clear as possible, as daylight. Are you aware, just to remind you, because obviously people are aware, in the 3 years I was a mayor, I'm probably the only mayor, I fired 3 DA MMCs. Are you aware? In all of them, the DA was against it, including actually to really demonstrate the hypocrisy when it comes to fighting corruption.
Yeah.
They were not interested. They didn't want to give me the permission to fire these people. And I said, it'll never under my watch. So these people are out. Let me tell you what happened. Because I did not have the power to remove them as councillors. They still kept them as councillors. But today, they are blaming the ANC for moving people around, leaving them in parliament. But in their case, in the city of Johannesburg, it is there. Go and look at all the guys all the MMCs that are fired. They remained in council. DA did not fire them and expected me to work with them. So you can imagine what was creating for me. Created a serious relationship. So there's no commitment in fighting corruption. The city of Tshwane, Edwin Sodi's the Rooival water treatment plant tender, where people of Hammanskraal, if had lost family members, including in my case in Ramutsi, lost a family member because of that. We as Section SA, while outside, we're the ones who carried out a 3-day public inquiry, getting professional people, retired judge to head this inquiry so that we unearth what really happened. And clear case of corruption. Edwin Sodi given by the DA, the administration, and not interested until even when we put them into power after the 2021, refusing to investigate this matter. We had to come out with a motion to in council to say you have to investigate this. We had to take this matter to the SIU. So I think unfortunately, it looks like corruption is embedded in our system, but we'll fight it for as long as we are alive.
In fact, speaking of the Hammanskraal water situation, Botsang speaks extensively about the water mafia and the fact that a lot of situations are created by unscrupulous business people so that they can then say, I've got a solution. Some people even argue that rail infrastructure is in the state it's in because my truck must get a gig. Water supplies in the state it's in because I've got a water tanker and a Guatlaspani. Yeah. How do we deal with this systemic rot?
Look, the foundation of any successful nation is completely and totally dependent on the rule of law. You need independent criminal justice system. Unfortunately, the ANC has captured our criminal justice system. This system where you will see one of the days we're going to come out with other bills to review our constitution. We've given too much power to the president, where the president is responsible for the appointment of Chapter 9 institutions. This is totally unacceptable. That's why the parliamentary it's covered. Why should SIU get a mandate from the president to investigate cases? You can see the abnormality. So so do you think Cyril is going to allow the SIU to investigate the parliamentary? A clear case. I mean, honestly, even a 1-year-old child would realize this is a criminal matter.
You know, despite the Chapter 9 institutions, which I wouldn't say the ANC, and I blame the Constitution.
No, it's a constitutional.
The problem is the Constitution. They took advantage of it. However, look at not only the Chapter 9 institution. What is your view regarding the appointment of judges or the judiciary, which is supposed to be independent from the legislative authority and the executive authority? Now, you find the legislative authority, MPs, they go and they interview judges. And recommend to the president, and the president goes and appoints the judges. So I don't see the independence there. And what is your view on that? Don't you think we should be changing or re-looking at the powers that the president has in appointing the judges that are supposed to be independent from the executive authority?
Without any doubt. Honestly, you don't have to really be a rocket scientist. That those are very necessary constitutional amendments that we have because we're giving criminals too much power. When you have a president who's a criminal and you've given them so much power, that's why it is easy to capture the system, because everyone it's actually dependent on the president to keep their jobs, and because people want to work, they end up getting involved in this malfeasance and corruption. So that's why it's really necessary. Our constitution needs to really be revisited as a matter of agency. It's just obviously at the moment we don't have the numbers, but however, we've got a say in parliament. We've got the first one. You'll see there's more and more. I'm happy to give you a sense. Yesterday I had a discussion with some of our parliamentarians who were sharing with me some of the constitutional reviews that they would want. I'm really actually quite excited about this. Yes, it's going to be a long process. Are these other political parties going to accept? For an example, you look at it as a country, bloated cabinet, that's one thing. You know, where the country, actually for me, coming from business, where we, in business, when you waste money, we say you burn money. You know, this country doesn't need all these 9 provinces. These provinces are just a liability to the country. They don't serve any purpose. It is just a platform to create opportunities for cadres and for stealing. But in terms of adding value to people of Alexander, people of Soweto, absolutely not. And now you can imagine how much you will save if you do away with this the
leg of provinces.
The leg of provinces. What you do within national treasury, you have team of professionals to look after municipalities directly, and they account not to politicians, they account to professional people working under treasury. Their responsibility, the national treasury allocates money for the city of Johannesburg. Then you've got a team that's going to work with the city of Johannesburg to say, we're going to give you so many billions, tell us how you're going to use this money, and we monitor them. Not politicians, bureaucrats.
Administrators.
Is Dr. MASHABA an Action SA saying, let's do away with provinces or let's reduce the number of provinces?
No. Do away with provinces. We'll have provinces by name.
Yeah.
Doesn't you know? As long as you don't have parliament,
provincial legislature,
the legislature. More especially the provinces, unlike national government and the local government. You know, like, just give you an example. The city of Johannesburg, we when I was the mayor, we generated up to over 80% of our revenue. We can generate it ourselves. But look at the province. Show me any province that generates money. So their role is to get the money from national government and then distribute it to the municipalities. And in the process, billions disappear.
Yes.
In the process, billions disappear. So I'm saying, why do you need to really have provinces that are a direct liability? And I hope South Africans will wake up and actually bring a constitutional amendment to show that we don't need this. The solution is to have a team of professionals given from Treasury, working directly with the municipalities. You don't have to really go through a provincial structure.
That's it.
Now, we often talk about the fact that there's a lot of things that people complain about now that had the Constitution been amended maybe back when the ANC had a 2/3 majority, maybe things would be different. How do we then get to a 2/3 majority of like-minded people who say, for the sake of the country, something's got to change? Because if it doesn't change, nothing is going to change.
Well, I think change will only happen when our youth, particularly black youth, someone can wake them up to realize the power that they hold. The youth, why? Because they're the biggest casualties of this crisis.
This bloodbath.
And they don't actually realize the power that they hold. They're the ones who can overnight change the political trajectory of this country. But unfortunately, ANC, it's not going to empower them to understand their power, because as long as black youth are disempowered, they don't value themselves, they think they're a nobody, they don't count. You open your borders, get international drug cartels, destroy them with drugs. Make sure that on a Thursday morning like this, by 6 o'clock, they're already drunk. So on the day of voting, says, no, I've not worked for 10 years. What? Why should I? Because, and you can imagine, actually, someone who hasn't worked for 10 years actually is the one who's got the most reason to go and vote, to change their lives. But ANC will not spend money on vote education. And I think you'll read in this book how much money I spent with David Mulapo in 1994 to get black people to please go out and vote for Nelson Mandela. And I was unapologetic. I was giving money so that they go and vote for the ANC. I spent a lot of money on vote education because there was this risk that our people might not go and vote because they've never voted in the past, so they don't see the value of voting. So I spend my own money for voter education, but I'm only an individual and I'm spending a lot of money. If you look at our party, we focus a lot on voter education to get our people to wake up, to say, guys, if you don't go out and vote, one day we're going to really be governed by people who don't like you.
You talk about how ultimately it's in the hands of the youth which direction the country takes, and if things change at all. And my question is this: the ANC having dipped below 50%, chances are they'll never go back past 50.
No, it's impossible.
Do you think there'll ever be another ANC president in this country?
Well, it's going to depend how they're going to perform and in relation to other political parties. Yes, they might drop to 25%. And they're still holding the majority.
Yes.
So, because, yes, I mean, that's where they're going to go. The next election, 30, they'll be lucky to gain up to 25%. But the South African voters, the youth in particular, might stay away from voting and they end up with 30%, and they're still the majority. And we have another ANC person the governing, and the program will be there for another 5 years. And my biggest worry from an economic point of view, with the highest sustainable unemployment rate in the world, are we going to get into 2029? Are we going to get there? with the level of poverty, inequality, injustice, are we going to get there? That's what we need to nurse and hope that this upcoming local government elections, the sooner we can have them, the better, so that we can have governments that can actually start driving economic recovery of our country, because local government is very strategic, because that's where you're at the coal face of service delivery. So you can imagine if I stayed in the city of Johannesburg for that 2 years and stayed another 5 years, Johannesburg today would really be a modern city and a city for all. Because by the time I left the city, you remember, I'd already expropriated 154 buildings, taken them over from criminal syndicates, awarded them through council to the private sector to the value of 32 billion rands of investment in the city, creating 22,000 permanent jobs during the construction phase, creating 14,000 housing units, unheard of in this country. And I had committed, I'm on record, it's there in official documents, I had committed, because we had already identified 600 buildings and properties, that every year, I said, every year I'm a mayor, I'm going to release a minimum of 100 buildings. And one of the conditions we gave to the private sector was that 30% of the buildings must be for low income earners. And that was one of the biggest issue I had with the DA, because DA wanted me to leave it to market forces. I said, no, it doesn't work like that. I'm a capitalist, but I'm not. This is not the type of capitalism I believe in.
We must be intentional about this.
We must be intentional. As this, our people in Soweto are living in backyards, 3 generations. I want them to come and live in the city. So any private sector who wants to come and develop our city, 30% not negotiable. 30% of the units must be for low income.
So you are the person of expropriation. You see, a gentleman
of expropriation.
from Herman's Kraal is not ashamed about expropriating for the benefit of the people.
The Constitution allows it.
Actually, a lot of people do not know, including President Trump, that actually the Constitution of South Africa, and when Justice Moseneke, the former PAC deputy president, was in government or was in the judiciary, used to mention how actually the Constitution allows expropriation.
Yes.
It's just that only the parliamentarians or politicians, unlike you, and I'm not saying your praises because I know what you have done in Joburg, they never actually took advantage of what the expropriation part of the Constitution allows. Because it's very clear that if you expropriate for the sake of distribution, and
for public good,
for public consumption,
public good, it is allowed. I've done it. I'm not talking about something that happened at some university by a professor. I'm talking about real stuff that are passed through council. And the documents are there. Why those the buildings were never built, it's something that one day is going to really come out, because as soon as Helen Zille and the ANC concorded this my removal, obviously the whole project, then Jeff Makubu came, told JPC to say no, put those
scrap
that whole nonsense.
And I think it's an action as a behavior or program to expropriate, because as recent as 2 weeks back in the city of Tshwane, last week, expropriated buildings in Marabastad that were occupied by criminals and so forth, to say, but we are taking this off. And for that, we have to be honest with the politics of South Africa, where you guys as Action SA have been. You have demonstrated that it can be done. And I just wish and hope that you grow and all other political parties can learn from you regarding the expropriation of state assets.
Now, earlier on, I asked you about the presidency. And you said you don't know if you'd be up to the task, but the possibly just as capable leaders within Action SA. And on Thursday, on our radio feature with Botsang, I predicted that President MASHABA is not unlikely, because chances are we'll be back at another coalition. And South Africans, I don't think, are ready for a white president. So even if the DA came in at number 1 or number 2, I don't know that South Africans are ready for a white president.
No, there's no way DA will be number 1. It's not possible.
Yes, but having said that, though, where else would we look for a president if not within the ANC?
I think within Action SA, we'll see who we feel. We still have enough time. Right now, our focus is on upcoming local government elections, particularly the 3 metros in Gauteng. That is why I'm not ruling myself off because I'll, at 66, if I serve 1 term and turn this city around. Because if you turn city of Johannesburg around, you run in the economy of the country.
Yeah.
Running Johannesburg, you're running the economy of the country. And fortunate enough, I know Johannesburg. As much as when I took over the job at the time, I had no idea what the mayor does. Yeah. But right now, I can tell you, I know which buttons to press. I know the people I can trust to do the right thing and turn this city around. Yes, you can't turn it around in 5 years. This is but you can actually start laying the foundation for the turnaround strategy. And yes, Dr. Moya in Tshwane, we then have to really look for someone in Ikurule. And if we, as Action SA, can take the mayorship of these 3 metros, then we'll be more powerful than Cyril Ramaphosa.
But even
ANC.
There are even ANC members who admit that Joburg doesn't need a savior. So even Helen Zille running for mayor is not necessarily a solution because the rot is so deep within the city of Jozi that it needs more than just some savior mayor that's parachuted in. Like, where would you even start to fix that mess?
Well, where I left off, I've got 3 years experience. The documents are still there. I know the corrupt people that ANC brought back after I left. People are fired, laid criminal charges against them. They are the ones running the city back. So I know where to start. In fact, laying criminal charges and firing the people will be much quicker because I know what I'm dealing with. Unlike in the first term. I mean, in the first term, I didn't even know and understand how council works. As I'd never, I'd never had the experience. But right now, with the experience that I have and the team I'll be able to put together, we can this city can be turned around and turned around. Actually, the turnaround this time will be quicker than the first time.
I mean, these political parties, there's a practice that political parties lay charges against each other. You're one of your senior members laid a criminal charge against O'Sullivan last week. Umkhonto is laying charges that side and say, where are these cases going? What's happening with these charges? That political parties are always at police stations.
Fake
cases everywhere. Yes. Where are these cases? I've never even heard
one.
Well,
I think this question must be asked to our criminal justice system. It's like yesterday. Yesterday I was in Rustenburg. This time I was at the Rustenburg police station laying a criminal charge against the municipal manager. If you look at the obvious corruption, fraud and corruption case, it's contained in the Auditor General's report. It's not something that we are unfairly criticizing. Here's the Auditor General giving it to the city. You look at the city's audited financial statements, it is there. So, unfortunately, they've just sent me this morning the case number. That says that they'll refer the matter to the Hawks, and then from the Hawks, then the National Prosecuting Authority. I don't know if the National Prosecuting Authority head in the Northwest is also captured, because they sabotage cases. So by the time they present the cases to the courts, the cases are so weak. So if we had an independent, effective criminal justice system, a lot of politicians actually in parliament and all three spheres of government. Honestly, more than almost 50% of them are not supposed to be in parliament. They're supposed to be at Posmo prison.
Talking of them being captured, and this brings me to my next topic. Lieutenant General Muanazi has dropped a bombshell, has opened a Pandora box in the country. And you are mentioning a few cases where you are demonstrating to us and the viewers and the followers how politicians are captured, how Chapter 9 institutions' recommendations are ignored, like the Auditor General, how the National Prosecuting Authority is not running the hawks. You mentioned that these matters are taken by SAPS to their Special Investigation Unit, which is called the Hawks, or Special Directorate. What is the action as a position or your view with regard to what we have said, demonstrated vis-a-vis what Lieutenant Muanazi had said to the nation?
Well, I think listening to General Muanazi, for us personally, as HERMAN MASHABA and as Section SA, we are saying hands off Muanazi. I think the issues he's raised, honestly, they deserve serious investigation. I don't think we are going to allow anyone to touch Muanazi. Muanazi has brought issues which have really been worrying South Africans for years now. We're tired as South Africans, and I think we're an amazing country. You know, from time to time, someone will emerge, will actually challenge the status quo, and the way to General Muanazi staged that, I think it gives me hope for this country that South Africa is not going to be another failed African state. The black people in this country, we've learned that silence will be our downfall. And from time to time, someone will emerge who will save this country. And I think for me, General Muanazi, obviously I don't know him personally, but his work over the years applying permanent solutions to criminals. I mean, I admire it.
Permanent solutions.
Yeah.
It might be the apartheid, yes, where they used to say people must be permanently removed from society.
But not those evil apartheid, the people killing our people for just having a placard or finding me with a book by Steve Biko or what. Here you're talking about hardened criminals. You know, I mean, what he does. Applying permanent solution, it's admirable, and that's why majority of us, I believe majority of us South Africans actually like him. I hope he's as clean as he professes to be. So, but that must then be tested. That's why we have this commission by Parliament and the one established by the President. Will see what will come out.
So the action SA led by HERMAN MASHABA is not worried about the optics that he was in front of cameras. He called a press conference. He didn't follow procedure. Action SA is not worried about
No. In fact, that was the right way. I think that's why for me, I admire him. He demonstrated that our country is not for sale. You know, remember he said that me as a policeman, I've got a gun, I can protect myself. And millions of our people don't have guns to protect themselves. And he wanted to really demonstrate to the politicians that please, your days are numbered in collapsing this country. Sure. I think I admire him for that. He did not really use a political, theoretical posture. He wanted to send a message, and the message went down. And look at what happened in the 3 weeks ever since
6th of July.
Yeah. How many people are arrested all of a sudden? And what I liked about him was he wasn't just saying certain individuals. He was coming out with names, you know.
In some instances, he actually provided material.
Yes, he was
records.
coming out with names. He wasn't playing a political game, says he was coming out with names, and he demonstrated to South Africans that his colleagues in the armed forces are behind him. And honestly, for me, it's another reason for people like myself to stand up as politicians, because I'm a politician now, full time, as much as I don't get paid to do this job. But I think we need to intensify, make sure that we can encourage church leaders. I mean, if you look at, honestly, our religious leaders, their silence is deafening. You know, I always have this issue with my wife that, you know, I get discouraged to go to church on a Sunday morning. I wake up after a hard week, and then I go to church for 1.5 hours. They talk about things that happened 2,000 years ago, and not really bring it to today's
home.
Yeah, bring it home.
Yes.
And I'm saying, but no, man, religious leaders, faith-based organization, please
their role.
talk about play your role.
During the liberation struggle,
Yes.
we know churches were not only religious and worship places. They played a role in actually advancing the struggle. Most of church leaders were members of, you know, internal political organizations like the PAM, like AZAPO, like the UDF.
South African Council
South
of
African
Churches,
Council of Churches.
and the revered Desmond Tutu. I mean, we miss him. I mean, we miss someone like that who can take the
likes of the products, some of the products we can mention today of the Desmond Tutu's era, the Reverend Chikanis, the Reverend Alan Busak, you know, they come from that era and they became activists. And that's the role a church can play. But I must say, churches are captured as well, and mainly by politicians and capitalism. And that's the unfortunate part. But that's a topic for another day.
We are almost out of time, Tate MASHABA, because I know you've got an appointment coming now. So before we let you go, or before we leave your beautiful Sandton offices, I wanted us to go overseas just for a little bit. We have 3.5 years left of President Trump, but already the world is probably changed forever in the few months that he's been in office. What would President MASHABA's foreign policy positions look like, given where the world is right now? So, for instance, at the Oval Office, you are in the room with everyone else that was there. What would you have said?
I think President Cyril Ramaphosa allowed himself to be abused. I mean, that entire delegation, except the ones invited by
the favorites. The favorites.
You know, those ones are to confirm that there's genocide in this country.
Yeah.
But I mean, you look at the ministers and his delegation; they were belittled. You know, basically what President Cyril Ramaphosa demonstrated to the world on a world stage, where basically confirming that. South Africa, we're not only killing farmers, we're killing everybody.
We're all dying here.
Yeah, no, that is basically...
We kill everybody.
No, we're not just killing farmers, we kill everybody. There's misinformation that we're only killing farmers, we're killing everybody. That's really what for me, my take was. There was just no way I would not really have allowed another country to dictate to me who I must have in my delegation. I mean, that already, it's undermining the sovereignty of your country. How do you can imagine a president of a country wanting to come to visit South Africa, but I must tell them who to bring.
But with being realistic and as fresh as ask, taking into consideration the nature of the person the world is dealing with in Mr. Trump or President Trump, what would you have done? What could have, in your view, the solution of how would you have approached a hostile person like President Trump? in that situation?
Well, I think, one thing that, I'm a student of history. I've always loved history throughout my life, and I follow and I read history. Nations or people who think they're powerful. You can be a multi-billionaire or you can be a great nation today. Your sustainability is totally dependent on how you handle yourself. And for any country, as much as we might be a tiny part of the United States, but I think South Africa should not allow our sovereignty to be taken over another country. I think the president should have put together a team of South Africans, put together a presentation to go and demonstrate to the president that this is nonsense. This is information by traitors coming to you here in the United States that you are killing white people, because this is nonsense. Here's the evidence of people being killed in our country. Yes, we've got a challenge. But also what I think it's important, I think the mistake the ANC has made, it's actually taking sides. I think South Africa as a country that is still so new, so volatile, our success is going to depend on our neutrality when it comes to geopolitical matters.
Would you want to be neutral even in Gaza?
Well, any way in the world, because we have to first look at the interest of our country. We cannot run and want to really take leadership of international issues when we are unable to resolve our own issues. You know how many people get killed in this country every single day? How many women are being raped in this country every day? Yes, absolutely, we will sympathize with people of Gaza, people of Israel, people of Ukraine. We've got more people dying in Sudan, are you aware, today than anywhere in the world.
But we can multitask.
We're not talking now. No, it's no question of multi.
We can do all of it.
Yeah, but we can't be leaders. When 54% of your own people don't know where their next meal is, and you go and spend money you want to really be a world leader like United States, that's where you make mistakes. It's like me with my family. My house is burning, and in the process, before I save my family, the house next door catches fire. Then if anybody expects me, I must go and help the man next door and leave my family to perish. I think don't expect this from me. For me, my priority is my own people and my own country.
Do you think South Africa's fight for justice would have taken the turn it did if the world had a similar attitude? And so South Africans
tell me, what is justice?
Themselves.
What is justice to the 12 million unemployed South Africans? What is justice to 60, 80 people being murdered in this country each and every single day? How much money is being stolen, and people live in squalor? People can take you now to informal settlements where people don't have toilets. Is that justice? Go to Alexander. I was in Alexander 2 weeks ago. I actually did a video asking where is the South African Human Rights Commission, because we've got a Chapter 9 institution in Alexander. That smell, we are killing that community gradually.
Coming back to,
then what is social justice?
Coming back to international relations.
Then you expect me, I must take the leadership, or when my own people are being, the government, because it's our government that's murdering people of Alexander. I don't know if when last you guys in Alexander. The smell there, how people live.
I do gigs there all the time, so I'm always in Alex.
So you understand what I'm talking. So we're killing those people health-wise, and in the meantime, we're not building enough clinics. We're not producing enough doctors. Actually, we've got doctors and nurses who are unemployed in this country. We bring the doctors from Cuba. You know, I mean, that's what I'm talking about. So I'm saying is charity begins at home. Not that I don't care about people of the world.
I agree with that. However, we need the balance. For example, South Africa, it's a foreign trading country. South Africa, it's a borrowing country from the IMF. I don't say it's correct, but I'm saying when I look at international relations, we cannot operate in isolation. Even if we are a sovereign state, we have a role to play in the international community and in the world. Maybe, as you are saying, Mr. MASHABA, not as the leader. Maybe we are not yet positioned for that, but we cannot ignore our whole international.
Absolutely. You and I, we're on the same page. We must belong to the United Nations projects to work with them. But for us to want to take the leadership on geopolitical matters of a complex nature, which are very expensive and causing problems for us.
Speaking of the Human Rights Commission, you mentioned it in the case of Alexander. It brings me back to what is actually being deemed as the position or policy position of Action SA. Human rights commissions, they jump, or not human rights organizations like the Helen Suzman Foundations, they always jump to defend and protect foreign nationals who are here illegally, like you remember the 25
We're
Afghans?
not foreign, they're protecting criminals.
What is the issue with that? Why would the Helen Suzman Foundation and other foundations run to courts to protect foreign nationals who are
because
illegal foreign nationals at the expense? And the Human Rights Commission is just next to Alexander, and they are not doing that. What is the issue and the position of Action SA, which is being seen by many people as xenophobic organization?
Well, look, you know, obviously it's not out there in the public, but I think I've learned to believe what people do than what they say. My own personal view is that these people are on a mission, to ensure that black South Africans remain poor, desperate, not have a sense of purpose. There's a reason so that they can allow businesses to employ foreign nationals who are in our country illegally, who are not subjected to our South African laws. Businesses, you look at them today, when there's an illegal criminal from somewhere else than a South African, they will prefer a foreigner because a foreigner does not have the rights. So I think these organizations are funded by such people. If you look at the kind of funding that they get, who's funding them? Because obviously the South African, black South Africans, we think we've attained freedom in 1994. They are saying no. They've actually tailored this constitution to just give us to be on the same table, but we don't really eat the same. So I think it's to get us to remain poor, remain desperate, allow international drug syndicates to come and take away our dignity and our self-worth, so that they can then say, no, these people don't want to work, they don't want to go to school, therefore let's employ foreigners. A few months ago, I was actually quite shocked when ShopRite Checkers at the AGM, the chairperson, saying she was asked a question, why for this 60 whatever delivery, if not all their drivers of scooters are foreign nationals. It says no, because South Africans can't drive motor.
How?
Yes, that's what the CEO said.
I mean, then I'm saying to myself, but we were insulted during apartheid and we did not have a say. Are black South Africans prepared to keep quiet and being insulted? Because this is such a deep insult for me to say that we can't drive motorbikes. I think these are things that for us as Action SA, we're going to fight, and we are going to be unapologetic. One thing we respect as a country, the only way we're going to develop this economy and grow it is to make sure that take what South Africa, because South Africa was built at the back of migrants. And we want to continue bringing people of the world. But they must come here legally, and when they're here, they must respect our laws. Yeah, no.
Like any other country will naturally do.
Which is a fair ask.
Yes.
That
So-
can you enter countries legally like you do in other countries?
So for me, if anyone wants to call me xenophobic, I can tell you I will wear that badge with honor.
But also,
if this is what I'm questioning and I'm therefore called xenophobic, it's a badge that I will wear with honor, because I'm not really prepared to get our vulnerable people in Alexander, Manscal, Soweto be insulted. And I say, no, I live in Sandton, I'm okay. Those people have got nothing to do with me. Let me tell you, people of Soweto, people of Alexander, they've got everything to do with me. They represent me. I've got my family there. I've got my people there. And I believe very strongly, and I'm not going to apologize to anyone, we need justice for our people. And unfortunately, that's something that ANC has dismally failed to do. They are in a trap right now in the GNU. Their partner is every day undermining them, running parallel governments. They're not accountable to the ANC. They'll have their own foreign policy, go to and tell lies to the world. Remember a few months ago with that VAT issue, which I intervened, and I intervened here. When it was on a Sunday when I had ANC people, when it came to my attention that DA was prepared to vote with the ANC for a 2% VAT on condition that ANC must abandon transformation agenda. So when this matter came to my attention, we had a meeting here with the ANC leadership. I said, guys, this is not, as long as you give me the commitment that there's not going to be VAT. South Africans cannot afford VAT. Come 1st of May, if you give me the commitment, we'll get you the numbers to pass your budget.
For a change, they kept their weight.
Sure.
As a consumer and a taxpayer in South Africa, let me thank you and Action SA for saving us from that VAT increase. Albeit it's temporary.
Yeah, well,
It will
and I
find
can
its
tell
way
you,
to
here
our
on this
pockets.
table, they wanted us to say, thank you so much. Would you mind to serve in our cabinet in the GNU? We said, thank you very much. You've got enough numbers. You don't need us. For us, it's about the VAT. So let's not discuss anything.
You are breaking the news on what a week that Action SA refused, cabinet posts in the GNU.
Well,
I never heard speaking about it
because
anywhere.
obviously our participation in the GNU will compromise us. There will be no effective opposition. So we want to really. I think honestly, I don't know. Maybe I'm naive. I think God has put us in a position where we can hold this GNU accountable. Because you can imagine without Action SA, because the other parties, honestly. For them in Parliament, they oppose everything. Huh?
Yeah.
You look at, there's nothing in Parliament they agree. Whether it's in the best interest of South Africans, they just oppose. Whereas with us as Action SA, we are unapologetic. Where government does well, we will support them. Where they are failing South Africans, we will oppose.
now you spoke earlier on about the Helen Suzman Foundation, other foundations, even some NPOs that even with issues of just law and order and trying to fix the lawlessness that we live within, the Constitution allows for that. The Bill of Rights allows for that. Would you say South Africa's brand of democracy gets in the way of getting things done?
I'm afraid our constitution in 1996, when we accepted it, we were duped. to believe that it is the best in the world. I think that constitution honestly need some serious reviewing, starting with the preamble of our constitution that says South Africa belongs to all who live in it. I think, because yes, that's fine.
So what should it be? South Africa.
South Africa belongs to South Africans.
Yes.
South Africa belongs
and visitors must act accordingly.
Yes, South Africa belongs to South Africans. And then now you go to the Bill of Rights, where it says that's why the courts keep on protecting criminals, because obviously they are judges. Because if the preamble says South Africa belongs to all who live in it, and then you have the Bill of Rights, you say no. If a criminal comes here into our country, we have the right, if they get sick, we must provide them medical care, we must provide them housing, we must provide them the schools, security. Honestly...
and it's not sustainable.
No, look at where we are right now. South Africa borrows money every day. Today... the Minister of Finance declared we spend over R1 billion on interest a day.
Yeah,
a day. And I see the last few months they've been taking more and more debt. And one of I can share this in confidence. One of the bills we're going to be launching soon. It's actually. To take powers away from the Minister of Finance before he goes out to go and take further loans. They must be approved by Parliament, because we've got that. We see our debt piling up every day without being brought to the attention of Parliament. And at the end of the day, I can tell you, your grandchildren already are in debt. The ones that are not born yet. So we've got to stop this.
My son is in the room. I hope you're listening. The children you don't have yet are in debt already.
Oh no, your children are before.
The foreign borrowing. By the way, speaking of the foreign borrowing, as recent as on Monday, are you aware that the Minister of Finance were borrowing money from the BRICS Development Bank? And we have exhausted our quota with the IMF and the World Bank.
And I think it's right, South Africa, because of our credit ratings, we actually get the money from machonisas. No, South Africa gets the most expensive borrowing because of our credit ratings. And we're not getting out of this hole because the economy is not growing. So the only way you can actually arrest this, you need the economy that grows so that you can reduce the borrowing.
From my side, the preamble. As a former ANC person who campaigned for the ANC, that preamble comes from the Freedom Charter. South Africa belongs to all who live in it. That's the Freedom Charter, it informed the Constitution. Were you not proud when you saw the Freedom Charter being moved into the Constitution? I would say you were not duped in 1996. You were duped in 1955.
No, if fortunate enough, I'm a big follower and a lover of Robert Sobukwe.
But
he's one of my. He's always been one of my leaders. Probably there's a reason why he broke away from the ANC, because the ANC was infiltrated not in 1994. Was already back in 1955 was already infiltrated.
But we also need to be fair that back in 1955, when the Freedom Charter was agreed upon, no one anticipated an influx of foreigners coming to the country illegally. So it was about South Africans.
It was about South Africans.
And it made sense. And it made sense at the time.
Yes, but then what to do? Because a constitution is a living document. A constitution has to speak to the living experiences of people.
And evolve accordingly.
Yes, you like some of us, including myself, when this constitution was adopted and the world really celebrated us, and we also celebrated. But we are aware that, no, this constitution is not working for us.
Yeah.
We have the obligation to review it. Like any other country. Your constitution can't be like it's a Bible. No, a constitution has to speak to the lived experience of its own citizens.
Absolutely. We are out of time, Herman.
No, thank you so much.
But-
It's like I could talk to you for days because you guys are touching on things that are really close to my heart. Something that I never thought I would personally do because I'm a capitalist. I enjoyed life. I enjoyed life when I was in an environment where I made money, worked hard, traveled. Do 10,000 kilometers every month. I'll be in Lesotho, Swaziland, Botswana, Mafikeng, Thohoyandou, Soweto. I used to really have fun, spamming your mothers, spamming you guys, and making money in the process. I used to really have fun. You know, end of the month, I look at my bank balance. You know, I started my business with a 30,000 rands loan from Walter Dube. I don't know if you know a gentleman called Walter Dube in Mabopane.
Yes, sir.
Gave me a loan, very expensive loan. I had to pay him in 3 years. I paid him back in 7 months. You know, so
I will arrange. We will talk. We will invite you to continue, and I'll tell you when. Or after the bill has gone through the parliamentary process, because this bill is interest to South African people. We'll have a conversation after that. Probably, I hope it will happen before the elections, because if it doesn't, in my view, it will be swallowed by the local government elections. But we'll make time and converse with you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Rahman, where do we buy this book? The Outsider.
At the moment, because I took the rights from Prince after making the mistake to call this book an unauthorized, because you read the book, nothing has changed. So decided.
Did he refund you?
No. My arrangement with him wasn't to refund me. It was for me and my family to take the royalties over.
Okay.
So we've taken over. So until I get all my royalties back, then I'll give him the rights to the book. And obviously, at this rate, probably my great-grandchildren are the ones who are going to benefit. But at the end of the day, for me, it's not about the money, because I wanted Prince to do the right job. When he couldn't get the funding himself, I was prepared to fund him, because I grew up in an environment where, for us as black people, we could not read about the others. And I'd written books myself, and here was someone saying, I want to write the book. It's going to take me 4 years, and he's done a brilliant job. Why he allowed himself to be misled that the book is unauthorized, it was really very unfortunate. But one thing for sure, I'll give him credit, he's really done a fantastic job. So the book at the moment, you can get it from Take a Lot.
Yes.
That's where
So was he paid as much as the paper said?
Oh, no, not what the paper said.
Yeah.
But I said.
What you said, yes.
Yes, I said paid him that money. It was a 4-year project where he wanted. I paid him over 4 years.
Myself and Botsang will do it for half next time, so you call us.
No, you're too late. Too late to approach me. What I'm saying is, I didn't know Prince. At the time,
the protocol one from now on to MASHABA changing the constitution.
Yeah, no, but I've learned that you guys, when you get money, you get crazy, because honestly,
you pay us when the book is delivered.
You know, I mean, the man approached me with a great proposal, and you know, you can imagine a capitalist like me. I didn't actually even want any discount. I just said, Prince, go and do the job, because I wanted a book that my great-grandchildren can really read. Once upon a time, there was a unique human being. Not only the books, I've written
quite a few
books already myself. And obviously, people who take that to really be not independent. And here's one written by someone completely independent. So I've learned. So anyone approaching me for a proposal to write the book says, do you want to really compromise me? That even when you have a contract, we sign a contract during the day and so forth. Why do you want to hide it from society?
Absolutely.
I don't honestly, it baffles me as to why the Prince wanted to lie about this. But that I can't answer. Prince
We're here now.
should be.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is Prince has really done fantastic work.
Okay, so the insider written by Prince Mashele. Get yourself a copy at takealot.com. Ntate Mashaba, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being opening your beautiful offices to us. And we'll see you second half. There's always a second half.
No, that's great. And keep on doing a great job. I mean, I remember when you launched yourself, I mean, you were one of those revolutionary guys, bringing a totally different space to the media space in our country. And we need to really celebrate people like yourselves and others. And I think as black people, we must never give up on celebrating ourselves.
Absolutely.
The little we do, because we're a nation that, fortunate enough, my grandfather told me to reject us, where there's this saying, we grew up in that kind of environment, and unfortunately, they say there's a big percentage of our people that actually believes that, because they've always been fed.
It's internalized.
They've been fed this nonsense, and I'm fortunate enough that now Clarissa Herman Mashaba is Herman Mashaba.
Absolutely,
That's good.
absolutely.
No, we really appreciate. Thank you very much. It's so fun that so many people look at this show. Politicians, ministers, they never comment, they never come to us, and they're like, you're doing a brilliant job. But they say it on the site. You are one of the first people who's seeing it live to say, no, guys, since the launch, we've been doing a great job, and we really appreciate that. He's leading the project. He just dragged me into, this thing. Now he has dragged me into radio.
I'm not done with it.
No, but thanks, Brother Herman. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Ntate Mashaba is that uncle that umolaela for 5 hours. No, Nikilaela. Let me tell you another story.
Let's stop. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Wow What a Week #PoliTricks with Fresh and Botsang. And Ntate Herman Mashaba welcomed us to his beautiful Sandton offices because we said, listen, we'll come to you. We'll set up where you are comfortable so that we can get this done. Thanks for tuning in. We love your comments. We'd love to know your views on today's episode. So please comment at the bottom there, or if you're going to clip some of the interview, please tag us so we can be a part of the conversation. Coming to you from downtown Sandton, we are a part of the Africa Podcast Network. Shout out to Trevor at Pezulu Works for the cinematography, YBF and Lati for behind the scenes production, and for all of our social media. Keletso Modisakeng is our executive producer. Till next week, have a great week in spite of yourselves. We're out of here.